Good morning, this is Tubal Cain again, and this is episode number 9 of my This and That series, and it's been quite a while since I put one on, so it's time to do it again, but it's still late February and it's 0 degrees this morning, so I've been held up in my basement here for months, but I have accomplished a lot, and I have a lot of videos in the can, but most recently I've done this one on the little vertical steam engine, and quite a few people like this, and that's 8 parts. But I also have in the can, so to speak, this little horizontal engine that I just recently finished, and that's 8 episodes also, but it hasn't been released yet. You know, I work way ahead, and sometimes the dates don't make any sense. I know, and I get complaints about that, but that's when I do them, and I don't necessarily release them, and I probably got some that are 6 months old now that haven't been released. But watch for these detailed engine builds that seem to be enjoyable to many men, whether or not you ever build them. Then, so watch for that. And then I have done a series of videos on the dividing head, index head, and gear cutting, and not all of those are released, but I make all these gears, both steel and aluminum, and I show you different ways of doing it, and I think that might be of interest even if you never cut a gear. So let's get on with some what other guys call viewer appreciation mail and gifts and items like that, and have a lot to tell you. Steve out of Westford, Massachusetts just sent me a little package here, and I've never met him, but I appreciate this greatly. Did I say Westford, Massachusetts? Yes, and in this box are 4 of these nice SD cards, which I can always use. It'll help me to organize the videos as I do them in episodes, which is troublesome for me, so that's going to be most useful, and there's 4 of those, so thank you very much, Steve. Now my buddy Lee, who I grew up with and was a college roommate, and we were teachers together for many years, but we'd often, or not often, we always had Fisher space pens. Now the beauty of a Fisher space pen, if you've never used one, is they're pressurized, so that as teachers often we had to write passes and things in the hall, and you would do that up against the wall, and gravity defied a regular Bic pen. So he gave me this this one here, made in USA too, and it's like a bullet though, and it comes apart, and it's a pressurized Fisher pen, so that's awesome, and that's small enough to carry in my pocket, but not in an airport. But then again, I don't go to airports, thank goodness. Be sure and go to the Studebaker Museum in South Bend, Indiana. By the way, very few people watched my my road trip to Michigan, which I thought was pretty neat, but I guess I'm wrong. Now I'm getting a lot of complaints about interlacing. Now I don't know if I can make that happen here or not. But interlacing is, I'm told, you know, this effect that we get in a video, and then you know, the guys aren't concentrating on what I'm doing. I'm making videos about the shop, you know, and there's some technical aspects I cannot master, and they've given me all kinds of directions to change the 480 IP, and I've done that. It doesn't seem to make any difference. But so you just have to ignore that, and you know, some of these guys are going to complain if you hung them with a new rope. As you well know, I'm a senior and I've only got 5 years to live. But this was my pass here to the River Rouge factory, and you simply must go on that. Nobody seemed to care about that, but I'm telling you, you got to go. Drop what you're doing, go to Dearborn, and you know, there's the factory tour map. You know, they're making those Ford F-150 trucks there with the aluminum body. It was awesome. And there's the map and brochure to the Henry Ford Museum. You know, they used to call that the Edison Institute, all of these things together, but it's all totally reorganized now and made more for the common person, I guess. And, you know, you can tour that, and you can tour Henry Ford's home Fairlane, but it's not open now. They're redoing it. And I've told you this before, that I wanted to go to Edsel's home, but poor old Edsel, who died at the age of 41, and some say killed by Henry with a broken heart, although it was cancer. But his home was closed for, it's up in Grosse Pointe, and it was closed for the winter, or at least for January or February or whenever that was. So, but go and do this stuff. Go to that Studebaker Museum in South Bend, and there's several other museums in Indiana, Duesenberg, and Cord, and I think something else too. You know, they made a lot of cars in Indiana. Now they make mobile homes and trailers there by the million. So on with the show. I think I've mentioned this man before, but you simply must watch AVE's videos. He's out of British Columbia. It's even colder up there, I suppose, than what it is here in northern Illinois. But check out his videos. He does some hilarious reviews on tools, and he is sarcastic and entertaining, funny, and sometimes profane, but be sure and check him out. And he does a comparison. He takes apart a cheap caliper, not a Mitutoyo, but a Chinese one, and just shows how poorly made it is, and you get a kick out of that. And also he does tool reviews, but not just by taking them out of the box like some people do, but he totally dismantles the tool and analyzes it, and you'll get a kick out of that. So be sure and watch some of his videos under AVE. A big thanks to Mike Storm out of Plains, Montana, the great state of Montana, sent me a screw vise, Montana screw vise. I'd never seen one of these. I never thought about it, but I had a video on holding small objects one time, small screws and so on, but this is a great idea. This is about a half-inch bolt and a nut, and welded onto there is a washer. And with all of these little washers and adapters that he included here, you can handle different size screws, and the thing that you do here is to put the screw in there, tighten it down in the Montana screw vise like that. Now this can be held in a vise, sawed off, whatever you're going to do to it, and then held to a grinder or a belt sander. You know how those little screws are when you try to work on them. They're all buggered up after you saw them, and then when you try to grind them, twang, you know, they go flying, scare the heck out of you, and you never can find them. You got to start from scratch. So thanks, Mike, for the Montana screw vise out of Big Sky country. About a month ago, out of the clear blue sky, the UPS truck backs into my driveway and pulls out this package that's 9 foot long, and I said, well, that doesn't belong here. I didn't order anything. And we looked at the label, and sure enough, it was addressed to me. I took it apart, and Lyle out of Yakima, Washington, and his name's Lyle also, sent me this beautiful pruning pole. I want to say pole saw, but pruning pole, and it's all aluminum. It does not collapse, so it's extra sturdy, and it has a heavy-duty mechanism there and a lever, so you don't have to pull it with a rope. That rope is not really the lever, but I can't wait for spring to prune some of my trees. So let me show you his literature here. Thank you, Lyle. So this is Lyle's company, the Cutwell Company. It makes different kinds of pruning tools, and they have a website if you want to look that up. Again, thank you, Lyle. But, you know, he's out of Yakima, Washington, so I mentioned to him in an email, I said, yeah, I know they made the Lindemann tractors out there, the John Deere crawler tractors. And he says, yes, Jesse Lindemann lived across the street from me, and we did his yard and his snow and all of that. And I said, wow, what a small world. Well, I just spent 15 minutes looking for pictures of Lindemann tractors, because in some of the pictures I had, there stands Jesse Lindemann supervising the work in his khaki work uniform, and I couldn't find the picture. I spent 15 minutes, but here is one of the earlier Lindemann tractors. They became much more refined over the years, and originally they were based on a B, Model B, and then later an M, and then I think some of the other series of tractors, but of course ultimately, John Deere bought them out and produced them under their own badge, but they all said Lindemann earlier on, right on the tracks, and they were awesome little tractors, often used in the orchard country out there, and because it was so hilly. All right, thank you, Lyle. Being the educator that I was, and I guess in some ways still am, I have often lamented the loss of our vocational and technical programs here in the United States as our industrial base degrades even more than what it has. But I was encouraged recently by this article in USA Today paper, which, a few months ago, but it's talking about the need for a resurgence in vocational education and getting these young men trained, and women too for that matter, for the job skills that are needed. And believe it or not, there still is a strong need for machinists, CNC people, CAD people, and so on in the United States. And not everybody needs to go to college. In fact, we want our smartest kids to be in technical jobs. I don't want somebody dumb working on my car. I want the smartest people working on my car or my air conditioner or whatever. So this is good to see, and I hope I'm not rambling too much, but I'm a little excited about this. I've mentioned this before, but I think you know I took a road trip out to Wyoming and the Dakota Territory and Montana last fall, and I'll talk more about that some other time on the things I did when I visited my brother. But somebody else also told me that if you go to the Internet Archive here, there are many of the old books that are available on machine shops, so you got to do a search on that. But the original copy of Cincinnati's book, Treatise on the Milling Machine, is there, but it's the 1917 copy, and of course it's free, so check those books out. And I guess you can print off certain pages, but this is like a 300-page book. You're not going to print it off, so look at it online. I think Google Books allows you to do that too, but I don't think that you can print that. I think they prevent that, which is fine, even though that stuff's long out of a copyright date. Well, Matt Homer from the UK sent me this picture, and I thought this was awesome. And he said that this is his grandfather, and I suppose that's a worker, and that's his wife. But they're in a blacksmith shop there, and you can see the anvil and some of the equipment they use. And I suppose those were samples of some of the work they did, making horseshoe nails and chains, and those appear to be parts for halters or harnesses or something there. But I thought that was a neat picture, so thank you, Matt. Why is he showing us these nails, you ask? Well, because in the next video clip here, I took a little side tour, a little road trip here a few months ago, and I made a video of it, and it's near the old nail mill, and they were neighbors of mine over in the Illinois Valley, and I just want to show you the stacks of steel wire and how they were shipped here and so on. You might find this of interest, so check out these huge coils of wire. This is the Illinois River, and I'm here in central Illinois, in the Illinois Valley, if you will, and I have been attending this morning a Pearl Harbor Day ceremony for my neighbor who was there, and is now 93 years old. And a point of interest here, right here on the waterfront, all of this steel, big steel coils, was brought in by barge and came from overseas on a ship, big ship, and then loaded on the barge on the Illinois River, and here it is. Now there's a nail mill about 1 mile from here, and this is my old hometown. By the way, that's the old brewery right above it there, the red brick Star Model Brewery. I remember when that was in business, but it's long been defunct, ruined by the big breweries. But my neighbors owned the nail mill, and as far as I know, they still do. And this is what they start with, wire. And they can make billions of nails. And you can see how deep these coils are stacked here. Now this wire is about a 1/4 inch thick, but it can be drawn down to any thickness that they want, any diameter that they want. But it's really neat that these nails are still in America. But oh wait, not so fast here in your applause, because look at this. As I zoom in on the shipping label, this steel was made in Egypt. I had no idea there were steel mills in Egypt. Last year when I came to this ceremony, all the wire that was stacked here was made in China. And that doesn't surprise me at all. But at least we got some local industry here, and I've been in the nail mill, but many years ago, and you want to hear a deafening noise, and you listen to those nails being headed on scores of machines, and they're high-speed machines. Bam, bam, bam. Then they get straightened and pointed and packaged and shipped. So it's a pretty interesting process, but it's deafening in there. So I hope you enjoyed this little side trip that I've taken here into our industrial might here in America. Out of the clear blue sky, Jack from North Carolina sent me a box, and the box, the post office had done its number on that box, and this box was jarred open, and all these items were loose, but it did survive intact, but the cardboard box was in shreds. I don't know, they must send these through a crushing machine before they reach me. So anyway, in here, and he sent me a nice letter along with it, is a complete tapered reamer set. Now actually one is missing, but I probably have that in stock, and most of these are brand new and in the package. And there's all the sizes. But these are tapered reamers for machine pins. And I'd like to do a video, and I will eventually, and this is Mark Cleveland, so we know that's the highest quality, and that's a number 7, and that would be used for a corresponding sized pin. And look at all of these, still in the package. And he said he found it under his late father's workbench. Well, there it says Houston Cutting Tools. But that's awesome, in a fitted case, and all brand new. You know, that's probably worth hundreds of dollars if they were U.S. made. Thanks, Jack. Hang on now, I'm not nearly done, so I got a bunch of other things to show you, but I was surprised in one of my last videos where I mentioned Eric Schmidt, the owner and founder of, with his father, Harbor Freight, and how there were no comments at all about that, and he is one of the richest men in the United States. And I have backed off on my criticism of the imported tools, because I get so much criticism when I do that. But leave it up to some of you other guys to do the critiques on that. But I had to laugh. I was in a farm store here just last week, and I took my iPhone out, and I just took a picture of this titanium claw hammer right on the shelf. And look at the price. $228 will allow you to take it home, and it's so valuable they had to put those security tags on there. Now, who would pay $230 plus tax for a claw hammer? I don't know, but they were beautifully made, as I did take it off the shelf and fondle it a bit. A friend of mine by the name of Greg from out Oklahoma way recently sent me this rather thick package, but he had sent a video to me when he was recently in Indonesia, of all places, and he passed by a dealer, and he showed me the showroom, and it was a huge showroom with windows in it you could see from the street. And so he went in there and got me all kinds of catalogs and things, and you know, there's a comb, and I got a kick out of this. I've never seen one of these. I suppose you have, but it's a pen, but they call it a scroll pen. Kind of neat. I don't know if it writes, I haven't tried it yet, but the catalogs they sent me are just all kinds of industrial equipment, and everything from punch presses and lathes, but it is more, shoot, they even got road graders in there and tractors, but it is more industrial oriented, not the typical stuff that we see in home shops, but of course it's in another language, and I don't even know what language. Those are all kinds of folders and giveaways, and there's pictures inside the warehouse, so it's in Jakarta, as I understand. And he almost got stuck there in a monsoon, he said. Well, shoot, there's a nice calendar. I suppose it's got the Chinese New Year. That's not China, though. I know, I'll get corrected on that. So that's pretty neat, and I still got to look through some of that. So thank you, Greg. Pretty neat. And last, but certainly not least, I think this is my last item, I received this package from South Australia here last week, and from a man by the name of Ray, and I won't give you his last name, and he sent me a 4-page letter telling me all about him, and it was most interesting, and he likes what I'm doing. So he sent me a book, which I'm going to show you in a second here, and a lot of pictures and a CD with pictures on it of their machinery down there in Australia. But this package, I still had a laugh. You know, this came clear from down under, and then we mark it here, received damaged. Well, who the heck you think damaged it, you know, for crying out loud? But he spent a lot of money. He spent $17 to send that, so thank you, Ray, for this and everything that's in there. But he has a McPherson's, this is from 1937, lathe. So here's some old pictures of lathes that are pretty neat. And he also had pictures of a hand-operated planer, metal planer. But mainly what he was going to send me, and he had told me in the email, is this book here, 3/8 of an inch thick, called Blokes Sheds. Now in England and in Australia we call men blokes, especially down in Australia. He said a more masculine type of a thing down there, macho, are these blokes. And since they don't have basements there, many of them have their shops and so on in sheds in their backyards. Some of them quite crude, and some very cluttered. But this is quite hilarious. It's a real hoot. So I'm only about halfway through here, but these men like to spend. That guy looks like he's in diapers. They like to spend their whole day out there, and they may cook, and they may entertain, and they may work in their shop, and they may play music, and just all kinds. There's a guy baking bread in his bloke's shed, so that's pretty neat. Thank you. Just a reminder, thank you very much for all the kind comments, and don't send me bad ones because I just delete them. But I cannot answer every comment or every email. There's just too many of them. I would spend my entire day, but thank you for sending them. And I will also, I cannot do videos on demand. You know, people are saying, can you show me how to modify the action on a Sharps rifle? No, I don't know anything about a Sharps rifle, and it's something I can't do, and only 2 people in the world would be interested. I can't do those little videos like that, so I'm sorry. I just got to do what I like to do and what appeals to the masses. And just a reminder that that's my website there, and on that website you can, by subscription, get my videos, many of which are not on YouTube, never will be, but the complete courses on South Bend lathe, Atlas lathe, and the Bridgeport mill, and on some steam engines are on there. The cheapest route is to get the subscription for $19.99 a month, and you can do that for as many months as you want, and then unsubscribe, and that gives you full access, and that's streaming video. You do not own it ever. And I thank you for watching this long video, and keep watching, tell your friends about it, and this is Tubal-Cain saying so long for now.